Hi guys, how's everybody doing? Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys' Monday and this weekend went great for everybody. I had a fantastic birthday. Thank you everybody for being here on my birthday. Even though it wasn't a birthday stream, everybody wishing me happy birthday. It was very, very sweet and I appreciated it so much. So before we get started, I have a little update. It's a good update on Olivia Chicky Nuggy Pot Pie Esquire. As everybody knows, yesterday she had her appointment with the transplant coordinator. And after reviewing all of her records and her latest tests and everything, they have determined that little Miss Olivia Chicky Nuggy Pot Pie Esquire does not need a transplant at this time. So that's very, very good news that now they've gotten her medication all sorted out and she's leveled out and things are going really good for her. They don't think that, and her ILD is not progressing. So it's all very, very good news. Thank you, Allie. Very, very good news. And so at this time, little Miss Olivia Chicky Nuggy Pot Pie does not need a transplant. So just going to keep an eye on her. She's got a CAT scan next, well, today's the 31st. So I guess March is when she has it. End of February, beginning of March. So I'm very, very, very happy. And I want to thank everybody again for the prayers, the support. Having Olivia near her hospital has been tremendous. It was so easy for Elizabeth to get her to her appointment yesterday and get right back home in quick time and less fuss and muss with little Miss Olivia. She didn't, she wasn't in the car for very long. She didn't, all the things, because you have to be careful. With Olivia, she can't be, around a whole bunch of people because, they've got her on Xeljanz is one of them, but her immune system is not up to snuff, and it's very easy for her to get sick. And like her, she ended up with RSV, which still don't know how she got that, but her RSV, where the kids that she was around evidently that had it, they were fine after 3 or 4 days, but Olivia had it turned into pneumonia for her and she had to be hospitalized. So this is all very good news, and I'm super happy. She had a fantastic second birthday, and her present from Grammy arrived, and I got tons of pictures, and she loves it. So it was a little purse, and it has like all kinds of little makeup in it and sunglasses, and she had the sunglasses on. She looked adorable. So there we go. Everything is good. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. So let me say hi to everybody. Hey, Coolest Reviews. Hey, Allie. Hey, Shamita. Hey, Kez Chick. How's everybody doing? Corky, hello. Diane, hello. Bowling with Cotton Balls. Hi, Heather, whatever. Hey. Anaphylaxis, good to see you. Leslie, hello. Alice, what the hell? Y'all, she just dive bombed the desk. Hold on a minute. Oh my God, Alice, get down, lady. That was almost a horrible accident. She damn near ended the broadcast, knocked the whole, oh my God. All right, right here. Knocked the whole mic setup all askew. Oh, she's just a mess. Alice, I don't even know. God, sorry, you guys. That was abrupt. She scared the shit out of me because she came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, boom, there she was. Hi. All right. So Now that everybody's heart is palpitating, sheesh. I can't believe her. She's such a maniac. Um, Now that everybody's, yes, I'm doing good. Coolest reviews. I hope you're okay, babe. Um, I want to, okay, so let me focus. Oh, she totally knocked me off my game, ma'am. All right, so as you guys know, I didn't go live on Friday or on Monday with the trial, but that is because the one guy that testified, which his name escapes me, but it'll come to me in a minute. He's from SLED. They started putting the SLED on. It's because he basically was testifying all day. And although it was good testimony, right, it's pretty much kind of what we all expected. There wasn't anything like jaw dropping or anything like that, right? Until cross examination. And that was today. And so I'm going to play a little bit of that because there is a huge debate going on the internets, which is where all the great debates occur about. So, okay. So, we watched the dash cam interview with with Alex and right there on the scene. And that was on June. Well, I guess technically it was the 7th into the 8th because it was they started like right before midnight and finished up obviously after. Okay. So there was another interview. This one was more formal. This was down at, I believe it was down at SLED. And he said something. So they showed him a picture. They showed Alex a picture. And hey, Seth, good to see you. So they showed Alex this picture and he starts to cry and he says something. And this is what, so they on cross-examination, the, Alice, you're really distracting, babe. The defense lawyer, geez, Jen, I mean, I can't get it together tonight. All right. So the defense lawyer, Harpoonian, he replays this specific part, okay? And then he slows it down to points that, well, he said 1/3 the speed, but I don't know how you would do that because on YouTube you can slow it down half. Like you can slow it a quarter, half, 3/4, or like all the way, right? And so this is what my thing is. I think that and I don't know where he played it from, meaning I don't know if he played the interview, right? And then through through the playback settings on his computer, slowed it down, or if he played a slowed down version of the interview, like it had already been slowed down, and then he played that part. So I think that clearly the only scientific way to do it is for us to play the interview, right? Obviously, we're going to watch that and then play that specific part and just slow it down on YouTube. That seems way more scientific because then we know for sure it has not been altered. It didn't go through any other software other than YouTube, and and let's see what we hear. That was one of the kerfuffles that occurred today. There was a lot of kerfuffle over this Gucci bauble. Now, I know what Gucci is, and bless the detective's heart that said it. They found the receipt in the trash for $1,000 Gucci bauble. Okay. And the detective called it Goosey, which I thought was adorable. And the attorney corrected him and said Gucci, right? But I didn't know what a bauble was. Bauble. It's one of them Christmas ornaments, y'all. Christmas balls. Apparently, the fancy and correct word for them is bauble. So learn something new every single day. All right. Then, okay. Then there was more. There's more. There's always more. So finally, they get to today was his cross examination, and then they get the cell phone people up there on the stand. And there were some interesting things that happened with the first guy from Verizon during his testimony because um, there's just this whole like exchange between the Verizon representative and Harpoonian, and we're going to address that because I found it to be interesting. They still have yet to play um, the video that we're all waiting for, right? They have not played that. But I think, and I'll tell you why. I think the reason that they haven't played that yet is due to the fact that they're laying the foundation. They've got to, there's the defense, and I have to be fair here. Now, I personally think that um, it is more likely than not. Hey, Jessica. Jessica. Is it Jessica or Jessica 420? It is Jessica. I never noticed that before. Hey, Crystal. Um, the big kerfuffle over this Christmas ornament was, first of all, well, the receipt is that the amount was circled. And they were talking on News Nation Banfield, and she made some reference to her kids forever ordering McDonald's bacon, egg, and cheese, and they're like $6, whatever. And the hypothesis from that panel just made no sense to me. Like one of them said, was this a catalyst for something? Did this spark a conversation that then escalated into what it then became? Which I thought was, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't think the person is preposterous. Okay. I think that theory is preposterous. This, this took a little bit of planning. Let's be honest. Okay. First of all, Maggie didn't like hanging out at the hunting lodge. All right. So that she had to be cajoled to get out there. All right. She didn't want to go. And then everything had to just align correctly. And in my opinion, this is far more premeditated than like the legal definition of premeditation, which the legal definition of premeditation would have been when he picked up the gun. That right there is an act of premeditation. So the legal definition to me, this feels more like the actual definition of premeditate, like where how we think, um, what we think of premeditation, planning, plotting. That's what that is what I think. And I will say this: um, I have to be honest. There were a few times between Friday, Monday, and today's testimony that I think that the defense scored some points, but I still think that the defense has an incredible uphill battle. So one of the people that they had on Monday was also from SLED, and she essentially is she collects evidence. Okay, she's a crime scene investigator, but on this crime scene, her job was to collect evidence and to document. And one of the areas where the defense scored a point, several points actually, is during cross examination when they were asking her if it was possible that it could have been multiple people, and she wouldn't concede to that. And the reason why that's problematic is because in the eyes of the jury, so she is a crime scene investigator. She has no skin in the game, no dog in this fight, as it were. And so for her to not be able to at least concede it's possible, possible and probable are two different things, but for her not to concede to that, it doesn't look good to a juror. If I'm sitting on the jury, which let's be honest, essentially aren't we all in a way sitting as, I think they have 12 and then 6. So we would be what, the 17th juror? No. 12 and 6 is 18. So we'd be the 19th. My bad. Sorry about math. The 19th juror, right? We're all sitting and watching and making judgments, and we don't even have, we at least get to talk about it. Can you imagine listening to all this day after day and you can't say nothing? That'd drive me nuts. I wouldn't make it. Well, no, I could do it, but it would drive me nuts. Anyway, long story short, if from my perspective, watching that, it's a little problematic because you want your crime scene investigators to, when there's something to concede to, they should concede. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's what happened, but it's a good idea to go ahead and concede to that. Okay, so let's get to where we need to be. Hold on, I got to find where they played it. Here it is. Now, I want to say this too. All right. Remember how I was talking about the, it's not HBO, it's actually Max did it, but it's on HBO Max. The documentary, what is it, Low Country? Okay. So I went back because I was looking for something very specific and I knew that I had heard it, not read it. So I was looking for the part about Randy Murdaugh being at the scene in South Carolina, at Stephen Smith's scene. And I knew that I had seen that somewhere, or, heard it, not seen it. So anyway, I I was watching it again. And of course, when you watch things a second, third, fourth time, you're going to pick up on stuff that you didn't pick up on the first time or the first couple of times. The truth is that both of his defense lawyers that are representing him in this trial are in that documentary. It is them. I just didn't recognize it. So recognize them. So yeah. All right. So now I'm going to play this. Hold on before I play it. Let me see something because I think I want to get his name, and hold on. I don't, sorry, you guys. I should have been more organized. I apologize. Usually I am, but today was not that day. All right, hold on. Hold on. All right. Usually it's at the top. Hold on. I'll figure it out. Let's just go on with the show. So otherwise, for me to look for it is going to take forever. So let me just play this for you guys. So we're going to be into the cross-examination at this point, okay? All right. Y'all let me know if you can hear it, because lately StreamYard's been doing a weird thing with sharing the screen and sharing the audio. So just, let me know if y'all can hear it. All right, here we go. I'm going to put, no closed captions. Okay.
Close by, right?
Yes, sir.
Not yet. Not yet. The a lot of people were interviewed that day, right?
There was a number of interviews going on at the same time. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay.
And what was,
Thank you, Heather.
again, that was consent, correct? The interviews were consensual.
Yes, sir.
And you interviewed, the folks being interviewed that day not only included Alec, but they included John Marvin, his brother, his son Buster, and his other brother Randy. Is that correct?
To my recollection, yes, sir.
And when you pulled up on June the 10th, it's about, was it early afternoon it seemed like?
The timestamp should be on the video. I don't recall what time it was.
But it was a little bit like the cavalry coming, wasn't it? There were a lot of cars that pulled up at one time, right?
They were aware we were coming.
They were, how many agents went?
We took agents to interview each person that was there.
You took 2 agents for each interview, right?
I think there was 2 agents for each interview, yes.
All right. His name is Special Agent Jeff Croft. I knew I would remember it. There you go.
And each agent came in their own car, right?
I think I may have rode with Special Agent Owen. I'm not
Thanks,
sure if
Kaz. I
if the
appreciate
others
that,
drove
babe.
their own cars or not.
Well, and so there's at least 4, could have been more than that, cars, right?
That was probably full cars, yes, sir.
And you put each person, Randy, John Marvin, Buster, and Alec, in a separate car all at one time.
Pretty close to the
I
same time,
actually
yes, sir.
picked
Each
up
one got
new
in the
stuff,
car with
Coolest, when I watched it a
agents.
second time. You should watch it a
And
second
that's
time.
a law enforcement investigative technique so that you don't want witnesses to be comparing notes, and you want to interview them in separate places, same time, and to get what's fresh on their mind without learning of what another witness has said, right?
We wanted to interview them individually, yes, sir.
And you said they knew that they were coming, but did you alert anyone that we're all going to be coming in, at least 4 cars, and we're going to interview you separately at the same time?
There was some other things that was going to take place while we were conducting the interviews. So it was arranged that they would all be at that location and we were going to meet them there and conduct the interviews.
And you also had a guy there to do the phone extraction.
Yes, sir. Those are the other things I'm talking about.
Now, that wasn't told to Alec or John Marvin or Buster or Randy before SLED rolled in on the 8th at John Marvin's hunting lodge, right?
It's my under-
All right. So they interviewed him at his brother's hunting lodge. Now, this is the thing that I wanted to just comment on really quickly before we continue. The defense up into this point has really made a point to continuously at every opportunity, which it's their job. I'm not hating on them, but this is what they've done, to really point out that law enforcement had tunnel vision in their approach to or the way that they felt with respect to Alex Murdaugh. And the truth of the matter is, I find that to be poppycock. I mean, I get that they're trying to make it an issue currently while they're asking this gentleman here. But the truth of the matter is, you're right. Obviously, it had to be with consent because otherwise there'd be no interview. Hello, that's how it works. But more to the point is, at this point, this is only 2 days. Well, 2 days, I guess. It happened on June 7th. So 3 days. Okay. Since this happened. Right. And I don't think they're treating him at all in the way that people who are a suspect would be treated. Hell, I've seen people that are witnesses not be treated this nicely. You know what I'm saying? So I just find it just preposterous. I just find it preposterous that they want to go on down this avenue. It's ridiculous to me, but here we go.
Understanding that they knew we were coming and that we were going to request the phone analysis be done.
You think someone when SLED would have told Alec ahead of time, told John Marvin ahead of time that we're going, when we get there, be sure not to erase anything off your phone because we're going to download it.
I didn't set the meeting up. I went with Agent Owen to conduct the interview.
So, but one of the first things you did in the interview was you and Agent Owen was ask Alec if he would give over his phone so that it could be extracted, correct?
That was one of the first things we asked for.
And that extraction was done, by another agent who came in a separate vehicle, I assume. Is that right?
He's not an agent with the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, no, sir.
Okay. He was investigator with 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office,
That's my understanding of his job title, yes, sir.
and that would be Investigator Hightower. Is that who did that?
That is my understanding, yes, sir.
And during the interview, you also, at the end of the interview, you got a buccal swab from Alec, right?
I did, sir.
You got a buccal swab from, not you, but everybody who was interviewed gave buccal swabs, meaning John Marvin, Randy, Buster, and Alec, correct?
I know that Alec, we secured a buckle from Alec. I'm pretty sure that there was one collected from Buster. I'm not sure about John Marvin and Randy.
Now, yesterday, we listened to the entire video interview with Alec, and it ran for almost an hour, could be longer, but you sat on the stand and heard that, right?
Yes, sir, I did.
Corky's, I've been watching her takes on things, and I can see why the locals would feel that way. I think that, and I didn't realize this, and I'm not even sure how I missed this. I was under the impression that Alec Murdaugh was only ever a personal injury attorney. I did not realize that he did work for the solicitor's office. Oh, thank you very much, Seth. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I never realized that. Thank you very much. Thank you. I never realized that I didn't know he worked for the solicitor's office. Now I knew his, his dad did and other members of his family, but I didn't know he himself did. I found that was surprising to me. And before I forget, let me just
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
Yeah. Smash, smash, smash that like button. Coolest Reviews made me that. Thank you so much, Coolest. I forgot to upload it the other day, but I remember today. All right, here we go.
And at various points in time, you were asked, what did he just tell you? Did he just tell you this? Do you remember that?
I do, sir.
And then you get to one point in the interview where you're asked, what did he just say after you said it must be tormenting? And you testified that Alex said on the video captured by audio that it was so bad.
Thank you.
I did him so bad. That's what
Here we go. Here it comes.
Yes, sir,
This is hey, Shannon. Good to see you, babe.
Now, are you 100% confident that Alex said, I did him so bad, rather than they did him so bad?
I'm 100% confident in what I heard and I interpreted him as saying.
But you would agree that this jury can hear the same thing you heard on June the 10th by playing what was captured on the body cam or the recording equipment in Agent Owen's car, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you heard what you said, you're confident what you heard,
Hey,
that
I've
he said,
learned
I
a
didn't
lot.
so bad. What'd you do in response to that?
I made a mental note of it. Again, we were still in the early stages of investigation. It was more of an information gathering.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. They're fixing to play it. I'm not going to tell y'all what they said or what they think he said or whatever, but I'm going to let you listen to it and then let you listen. They're going to slow it down, and then you can hear it, how they have it slowed down, because truthfully, the scientific way would really not be to, it would really be to go back on YouTube and find it from Monday's testimony, but that's going to take a minute. Okay. However, so it wouldn't be the most scientific way, but it would be the way the jury heard it. So I've been thinking maybe that's the way we should hear it, and they're fixing to play it. So let's hear it, and then we'll discuss what we think we heard and what he may have said and whatnot, and then move from there. All right, here we go. Sorry, I don't know how to talk today. I don't even know why I decided to go live and talk if I can't talk. All right, here we go.
From Mr. Alec. And we did not have information at that point, to my opinion, to challenge Mr. Alec on any of his statements.
John, will that be? So Alec Murdaugh was the one and only in this circle on June the 10th. You're in the car with him, and according to your testimony, he says, I did him so bad.
That is what I understood him to say. Yes, sir.
And yet you just said you took a mental note of it.
Yes, sir, I did.
I mean, if the guy in the middle of the circle, the only one in the circle, says, I did him so bad, isn't that a significant statement if he actually said that?
It's definitely something we would follow up with.
You never followed up with it, did you?
There was a third interview conducted with Mr. Alex.
There was a third interview. There was a third interview conducted on August the 11th, 2021, right?
I don't recall the exact date.
We hear about it, but you were there, right?
Yes, sir, I was.
Tell the jury, if you asked Alec Murdaugh on August 11th, 2021, what did you mean back on June 10th when you said, I did him so bad?
We didn't make it to that point, sir.
Come on, guys. We got 53 people watching and 26 likes. I know we can do better than that. Come
back
on.
on June 10th,
y'all.
after you had
Help
this,
the girl out.
what you heard him say, I did him so bad, you went on to talk about funeral arrangements, whether they're going to be public or private. Isn't that right?
There was questions concerning funeral arrangements, yes, sir.
And Agent Owen says, well, Alex said he's trying to make arrangements so it wouldn't be, a lot of media there or any media there. And, the guy who just said, I did him so bad, the response to that was, they don't deserve to be there. You recall that?
Oh, there you go. I was wondering when the question was coming.
Repeat that again. Sir.
Yeah, because
You
it was a
recall
lot
Agent
of words
Owen saying in
salad.
your presence to Alec, the media did not deserve to be at Maggie and Paul's funeral.
I do recall Agent Owen saying something about the media not being there. Yes, sir.
And that was after, according to you, he said, I did him so bad.
Yes, sir.
Did you consider that to be some sort of confession on June the 10th?
Again, it was something that we were definitely going to follow up on. Yes, sir.
All right. I want to answer. Hey, Dragonfly. I want to answer Diane's question really quick. So, no, because Mallory Beach's estate is who the plaintiff was in that case. And they were suing Paul, Alec, Randall, and a third Murdaugh that I cannot remember. It might even be John Marvin. I'm not, or is it John Marvin? The other brother. I cannot for the life of me remember who that third person is, but I'll find out for you guys, or for you, Diane. But no, it would not stop it. But what it would do is probably delay it temporarily, right? But this lawsuit, the only thing that Paul's murder stopped was his trial, his criminal trial. That's it. Everything else was going to go full steam ahead. All right, let me push play. And I have to say, before we continue, this defense attorney is correct. Oh, thank you, Seth. I appreciate that. If he did say what Mr. Croft alleges that he said, it is interesting that he wasn't immediately pressed. So we're going to keep going. Yeah, it would not stop that lawsuit. The personal injury, or the estate suing, the wrongful death. No, it would not stop that. But it probably would have put a delay in it, because Am I up to 37? All right. Come
Getting
on,
ready
y'all.
for your testimony
We
yesterday.
got 48 people in here. Come on. We can get 48 likes.
Excuse me.
Did you review a transcript that was prepared by SLED of that interview of June 10th with Alec?
No, sir, I have never seen a transcript that was prepared for that.
Are you aware the transcript was prepared at SLED?
No, sir, I am not.
Are you hearing that the first time?
Yes, sir, I am.
Well, let me ask you back on June 10th. Why didn't you ask him right then and there when he said, I did him so bad? Why didn't you ask him, what do you mean by that, Alec?
Again, it was early in the investigation. It was more of an information gathering interview, if you would call it an interview, with Mr. Alec. And we did not, at that particular time in the investigation, we did not have evidence to challenge anything that Mr. Alec would have told us. It was decided that we would not cross that at that time.
I mean, my question wasn't, why didn't you challenge him? My question is, why didn't you ask for clarification? Like, what are you talking about? You did him so bad.
Asking for clarification of
Just
I did him so
challenging.
bad would ultimately be a challenge of what he said.
You're right, Mr. Croft. I agree with you.
So what were the things going through your mind when you heard or misheard, I did him so bad? I mean, like, I wasn't a good dad?
All right. There's another thing I want to point out to you. And I'm curious where this is going, because I missed it earlier when I watched it originally today when this was playing live. Okay. Did you hear that the defense lawyer asked Mr. Croft, Agent Croft, I should say, if he was aware that there was a transcript? See, this is real cagey, okay? Because if there is indeed a transcript in any capacity from that interview, or whatever they want to call it, okay, and the defense knows that there's one, but they were not given one, that could be a potential Brady violation, because that would have been part of the discovery, and it should have been turned over. And if it wasn't, that's a problem. Now, conversely, making this allegation in front of the jury is kind of dirty pool. I'm not even going to lie, because it implies that there's something nefarious going on. when there may not actually be something nefarious going on. And I feel like the fact of the matter is, if they know about this transcript and if it exists, if it's true, if it's real, and they haven't done anything about it, that's problematic for them too. So I don't understand why they would. I don't like the way they're doing this, but whatever, let's just keep going.
I mean, what was going through your mental note?
There was a mental note that it was definitely something that we needed to follow up on and ask at a later time.
Coolest.
Now, from the video, it appears you're back there taking some notes.
Yes, sir.
Did you take notes?
And I
I
don't
was
like how
writing
they're not showing us the
Specific stuff.
videos
You
either.
mentioned you made a mental note of this, what you heard or misheard, I did him so bad, but did you make a written note of him saying that?
I don't recall if I wrote it or not, sir.
So it's possible that you're sitting there with a guy who's now been
I didn't
charged
do
with
good at
murder
geometry.
on June 10th in the interview, the father, the only one in the circle, and he says, I did him so bad, and you can't tell a jury you even wrote it down on a piece of paper.
I don't recall if I actually made a physical note of it or not, sir.
They really have. I've learned a lot. They really have.
I'm going to play that clip from State's Exhibit 243, which is in evidence. I want you to listen again with the jury. Hang on, Your Honor.
Oh, while we wait, speaking of Buster, Buster's not a witness, by the way. He's not on any witness list, not for the state and not for the defense.
All right, let's play it. Please, Doug.
That's
Exhibit,
according to Anjanette
243
Levy.
and
She
up.
said it today, Levy, on Law and Crime.
It's tough. It's just so bad. They did it so bad.
All right. Back it up and play it in real time again, Doug. Real time.
Are not easy. I know it's hard. And sitting here talking today is tough. It's just so bad. They did it so bad.
Did you hear now, they or I?
I will still testify that
All right. So, what did you hear? They or I? Put a 1 in the chat if you heard I. Put a 2 in the chat if you heard they. One for I, 2 for they. One, I, 2. More people hear I than they. Okay. I'm going to give it just a little bit more time. All right. Let me play it again. Let me go back 5 seconds. We're going to hear it again before they slow it down. Okay. Hey, Adjusted Fate. Good to see you. Anita Butts. Hey. All right. We're fixing to play it again. Let me mute my mic.
Today is tough. It's just so bad. They did it so bad.
Did you hear now, they or I?
I will still testify that my hearing, I hear I.
Your Honor, we'd like to play it again at 1/3 speed to slow it down. It's just the same. Thank you.
Third speed, with no foundation laid for who's manipulating it, how it's being manipulated. I think obviously we have it in real time, but there would have to be some additional foundation.
That
Today is
So,
All right. So this is what we're going to do. All right. I'm going to they're fixing to play it again. right? I rewound it. I'm going to, and I don't know where they get this one third time, because here are these are my options to slow it down. 3/4, half, or a quarter. Okay. So let's do it. We'll do it at all speeds. We'll start with 7.75 and we'll work our way and see what we can see or hear what we can hear. Okay. All right, here we go. This is at 0.75. We're doing some science up in here. All right, here we go.
All right, let's play it. Please, Doug. Exhibit 243 and evidence.
It's tough. It's just so bad. It's so bad.
All right.
All right, that was 0.75. All right, let's go back a little bit. All right, now we'll change it to 0.5. See, we're doing scientific things at the ward. All right, here we go.
All right, let's play it. Please, Doug. Exhibit 243 and evidence.
It's tough. It's just so bad. It's so bad.
All right. Back it up and play it in real time again, Doug.
All right, what do y'all think? We got 1 for I, 2 for they. All right, so what I did, Amelia, was I played their real-time video, their real-time audio. I slowed it down. This is not their slowed. All right, so now what do we think? 1, 1, 2, 2. I, 1, 1. Oh, thank you, babe. 1, 2. Ooh, it's pretty. I think we're a little bit. Me too. See, I can hear both, which is weird. I can hear when it gets slowed down. I can understand the twang sounding like they, but I can also, when it's slowed down and in real time, the twang says, I did him so bad. They did him so bad. See, it's very hard. It's very hard. This is going to be a Todd Mullis situation. Remember that phone call, the 911 call? Mm-hmm. So, and here's the problem with this. This is where the problem is. Not for the defense. The problem is for the prosecution. All right? Because here you have a special agent from SLED out here, up here on the stand, saying that he thinks he said I, right? And they played it 87 times for this man, bless his heart, and 87 times he has said I heard I, right? The reason that's problematic at this point, it doesn't even really matter, because what the jury is going to decide whatever they're going to decide, whatever they hear, but what they're going to remember is that it wasn't followed up on. That's where it becomes problematic.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Push mute. Sorry.
It's hard. And sitting here talking today is tough. It's just so bad. They did it so bad.
Did you hear now, they or I?
I will still testify that my hearing, I hear I.
Your Honor, we'd like to play it again at 1/3 speed to slow it down. It's the same. Thank you.
Third speed, with no foundation laid for who's manipulating it, how it's being manipulated. I think obviously we have it in real time, but there would have to be some additional foundation.
Play at 1/3 speed.
And sitting here talking today is tough. It's just so bad. It's so bad.
Did you hear they then?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay.
I'd like to give Tia
You
Dash
would agree
the
the
Good
jury
Noodle
gets to
Award
decide
for
what he-
today.
What
Thank
he
you,
said on
Tia.
that tape. That's the best evidence.
Appreciate that.
I agree that they get to hear the tape and make their own line up. Just what he said, sir.
Thank you. That's all I have on that. I said the date August 11th. You said you weren't sure, but there was another interview with Alec Murdaugh came to the SLED Low Country office, and you and Agent Owen sat down and interviewed him, correct?
That is correct.
Now, on all these interviews that were conducted and that have been played somewhat, or body cam conversations, except for Alec, when you're doing them, do you tell the person that you're interviewing, hey, I'm going to turn the audio recorder on, you're now being recorded? Is that standard operating procedure?
We normally don't advise that we're recording, no, sir.
Okay. And you certainly didn't advise Alec that you're recording him on any of the interviews that you conducted with Agent Owen, correct?
I never
Thank you,
advised
Crystal.
anyone
That's
that
so
was
sweet. I
that they were being
appreciate that. Hi, Crystal's husband.
And this meeting that you had, were you aware that Alec was asking for the meeting?
Heather,
So
who
that
are
he
you
could get an
seeing? I
update on
can't see some
whether
of
you
these
made any
people.
progress in the investigation of the murder of his wife and son?
I was aware that Alec had requested a meeting to raise some questions as to what was going on.
Oh, there she is. Hey,
And you
Madam
wanted
Nixie, good
information
to
as to
see
what was
you.
going on, right?
That's my understanding, yes, sir.
But y'all had other plans for that meeting, correct?
No, sir, I'm not going to say we.
I don't know what your other plans were. Okay, this is a good point here, too. Let's go. Oh, I like that. Let's go, B. Let's go, B. You see everybody, Heather, whatever. You special. Here's the deal. You're right. I don't know that that he would go through the trouble of planning it. Here's the thing. And this is what this jury is going to have to keep in mind. Alec is a lawyer, okay? And it really doesn't matter. There are some fundamentals about being an attorney that you learn that it doesn't actually, that don't change depending on the type of law that you practice, right? Like, for example, personal injury, right? What would a personal injury lawyer advise a client? Don't talk to the insurance company. Everything goes through me, right? What would a defense attorney instruct a client? Don't talk to the popo. Everything goes through me. Don't talk to the media. Basically, don't talk to anybody. That's pretty much what all attorneys, regardless of their field of practice, that's what they advise their clients. Be quiet. Don't talk. Don't think about talking. Don't talk. Don't talk about thinking. None of that. Just hush. Don't say nothing. Right? So I don't think that he would mess it up But I do think that he is being interviewed as an attorney, not it has that mindset. And I do think that he plays some games, which is why I personally, this is just my personal belief. I personally believe that Paul was the target, and the reason why he was the target, it had nothing, it had everything to do with how it could be set up. So if it was made to appear that Maggie was the target, okay, her body was damaged, don't get me wrong, but Paul's was bad. His was significantly more damaged than Maggie's was, right? So if her body is the one that's more significantly damaged, it would lead law enforcement to think she's the target, right? The intended target. Well, who's the first person that always gets suspected when a spouse is unalived? The other spouse, right? So with Paul having more damage and it making Paul, it appearing as if Paul were the intended target and Maggie was the collateral damage, this opens up so many more possibilities for suspects. You've got the boat accident, and what is almost the first thing out of Alec Murdaugh's mouth when detective or officer, he's a detective now, but Officer Green showed up June 7th. Immediately he goes to the boat. So I think what's happened here is, I think that even during that interview, do I think that he is sad? Sure. But do I think that his crying and the histrionics and stuff are coming from a genuine place? No, I don't. We've all been around somebody who's really, really, like, from the depths of their soul been crying. And after they cry, they can't just clear their throat and their voice go right back to the way it was pre-cry, right? And there's also that people get when they get real upset as well. And none of that happens. It's like he switches it. He's like the wind in Florida. He's either high or off. That's it. And it's annoying. All right, here we go.
We had other plans for that meeting. It was an interview.
Yeah, I mean, he came there he didn't go to that meeting thinking, I'm going to be interviewed. To your knowledge, did he?
To my knowledge, I don't know what his thinking was. He knew he was coming there to meet with myself and Agent Owen.
Okay. And during that interview, pretty much you made it known to him that, well, I mean, you asked him point blank, did you kill your wife and son?
He was asked that.
And you made it pretty clear that, well, let me ask you, at that point in time, was he full bore suspect in your murder investigation?
He was still a person of interest. There was some questions that we had regarding information that we had obtained that only he could answer.
And did he answer the questions that you asked?
Yes, sir.
And then at the end of that interview, he asked you to meet with Maggie's mom and dad, Mr. and Ms. Brandstetter, and her family, correct?
I think that was the end of the second interview, not the third interview.
All right. Well, shortly after that third interview with Alec, which we'll get the date in the record eventually. A few days later, you and Agent Owen went and met with Maggie's mom and dad, sister and brother-in-law, and nieces, correct?
That is correct.
And part of that interview, that interview was recorded, right?
The interview with
the
Brad
Stetter?
Studders, yes, sir. It was audio recording.
Did you tell them you were recording it?
We did not.
And
I don't think. I did not tell them.
And part of the interview was conducted as part of your investigation to get information to assist you in next steps, correct?
The interview was a combination interview. It was to share information and also to gather information concerning family dynamics. Yes, sir.
In that interview, you and or Agent Owen told the Branstetters and the Proctors that Alec.
See, now this is interesting, Diane, because the more I read and the more I learn, more people, and it's my own personal opinion as well, just from the way that Alec speaks about Paul. So remember in the dash cam police car interview on June 7th into the 8th, right? He talks very lovingly about Paul. So after a minute, like initially he said, when he's asked how their relationship was, he says, as good as it can be, right? And then he goes on to talk about how proud he is of the way that Paul has handled the boating accident and everything that's going on around that, yada, 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 right? Well, in these other subsequent interviews, there's some leaks. And it's not just what he says, it's also the way that he says it. So with respect to the firearms, he is sure to tell detectives that Paul had an awful, terrible habit of just leaving firearms laying around. So much so that the initial firearm that also uses, and I am not a firearms expert by any means, so that's why I just call them firearms, because I don't actually, I can only tell you what they said. It doesn't mean I completely understand it, but I do understand children. And he says that he had to replace that one firearm because Paul lost it. But then he says he's asked if he filed a report. And he didn't file an official report. No. But he did talk to some law enforcement buddies to give them the heads up just in case it was used, during a drug deal or whatever. Those were kind of his words, right? I remember him saying, during drugs or something like that, something is what he said. Anyway, so his answer to that is to replace the firearm that had been lost and continue to replace things that were lost, which is a parenting choice, right? I mean, it's not as, in my opinion, if a person is careless with their things, then replacing them only reinforces carelessness, because what's the consequence? So what if I'm careless and I lose it? I'll just get another one, right? Instead of, well, you should have taken care of your stuff. If you'd have taken care of your stuff, you would have it, right? So I find that to be an interesting, it's what he said and the tone in which he used it. He sounds, I don't know how another way or better way to put this, irritated, which is actually natural. I would be irritated. If it were me, of course, I wouldn't be buying 11 billion replacement firearms if my kid couldn't keep a track of the one. I mean, I just think that's completely, first of all, it's not like a shoe, where your kid lost their shoe. All right. Like, what happens if you're careless with a shoe? I mean, it's not the end of the world, but for Pete's sake, you can't be careless with a gun. And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's ridiculous. Hey, Vincent's missing ear. So, yeah, I just feel like that was a long way to go around my whole entire point, which was that Buster, I think, was actually the favorite. I think that he was the one that was the legacy. He was the one it intended and built for, carrying on the Murdaugh name as far as going into the law and all that stuff. And yeah, let me see. What is Just of Fate? Yes, I do. I do think his brothers were aware of his fraudulent activity. Absolutely.
Is in this circle of
Correct.
investigation.
Vincent's
correct?
missing Aaron. I'm over this
There's no
dadgum
secret that
circle.
Alan was
There's
in
no
that circle
circle.
at
What
that
are you
point. No,
talking about?
And that you also told him he's the only one that you've identified in the circle, correct?
I don't recall saying he's the only one in that circle.
You're
Or did you
welcome,
identify
Diane.
for the
Thanks for
Branstetters or
listening
Proctors,
for
any other people in the
it
circle?
to be 11
They
billion hours
particularly asked
long.
about Alex, so I don't recall giving them any other names that was being looked at.
In early August of 2021, was there anybody else in the circle that your SLED was focused on?
Are we
Again,
playing?
sir,
What
at
are
that
we?
particular
Square
date, I'm not sure
dancing?
who
What's
all was
happening
still
here?
within that circle.
The circle of trust? What's happening? Is this some kind of like bootleg Meet the Parents? I'm
And
confused.
during this interview, Maggie's mother, Miss Kennedy Branstetter, her father,
Yes,
Mr. Kerry
Diane,
Branstetter,
absolutely.
her sister, Marion Proctor, and brother-in-law, Bart.
There's
their
something
children
really
just-
interesting after
Hang
this.
on a
Hold
second.
on.
9/13/2021 is the date that's written on it.
You got June, July, August, September. 4 months after the murder.
That's correct, sir.
And do you know whether that property had been secured during that period of time?
It had not been secured by law enforcement during that period of time.
Do you know if any of that in front of you was on the property on June 7th or before?
It was there today.
Oh, I forgot something. One of the things that was a little controversial was the state introducing some firearms. Okay. And the defense vehemently objected, because they were not the actual weapons used in the crime, right? And at first, I didn't understand why the judge ruled the way that he did, because he allowed them in. And then the state explained it. And it was essentially to show that these he has a wide array of firearms. He is familiar with firearms. He could absolutely use 2 different firearms. That's what the point was. Although some people, there was quite the scuttlebutt and around the chats, that when the subject of a second shooter came in, most people's minds went to Buster. I think I've learned a lot. Okay, we don't want the Snapchat evidence. I finally, thanks to somebody very, very helpful today in the Law and Crime chat, there are 2 videos. Okay. There is a Snapchat video, or a Snapchat, but that is just like like for timing, right? Doesn't actually have anything to do with anything. This other video was never sent. It is just in the phone's like gallery. Well, I don't know how iPhones do it. Wherever the videos that you take with your phone are stored on an iPhone, that's where this is. It's not a Snapchat. So I think never been recovered. I don't know. I mean, if I were law enforcement, which they did look around the Moselle property, in the waters around Moselle, and they didn't recover them. But it does remind me, George and Jake Wagner what they did was they broke down the firearms, stuck them in cement, and used that to weigh down the duck blind that they had on their like pond or whatever. I would be looking somewhere like that. That's what but they've not recovered them as of yet. All right, here we go. So this doesn't get any more interesting. They don't really score any points, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. Here comes the Verizon guy. And I have to say that also, I just really like this judge. I think he's super cool and super chill, and he doesn't like get his feathers ruffled or anything. He kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, he's just super even keeled. What are we doing here, y'all? Let me see. I feel like he's reasonable. And if you had like a run of bad luck, or like you were in front of him because you actually did do something, I feel like as long as it wasn't like the worst thing in the world, obviously, I feel like he would be willing to hear you out and give you an opportunity to make things right.
Mr. Conrad.
But then, like, if you don't make it right, that's when he would be harsh. But he would give you that chance. You know what I mean? All right. I'll be right back. I've got to, hey, squirrel. I've got to let the dog out, but I'll be right back. I think he had help adjusted fate. I really do. I honestly believe, and this changes nothing. All it does is mean that there is potentially somebody out there who hasn't been caught. But don't get me wrong. Alec Murdaugh, he pulled the trigger. I just can't figure out who he did.
Michael.
That's who I thought of, Corky. I was like, what's Cousin Eddie's?
Great. How are you?
What's Cousin Eddie's alibi? But I think he burnt Cousin
where are you
Eddie.
employed, sir?
Oh, wait,
Verizon
no, we
Wireless.
hadn't burned him yet.
What are your
That's
duties,
never
sir?
mind. You're right.
In this capacity, I'm a
Ooh,
custodian of records.
Cousin Eddie. All right, I'll be right
So
back.
In its normal course of business, does Verizon keep records?
Is
That is
that
correct.
hold on? Let me
And does it
pause
keep
this.
call records?
That is correct.
Jessica, is that the one that was the college campus, or not the college campus? She was in college. She was a college age girl. She was going to college, and she got into what she thought was an Uber, and it wasn't. And that's when and she was unalived and essayed and all that, and they made that law for her, and Uber changed its policies about how you confirm that that's your driver and they actually work for Uber. Is that it? Okay. I just watched that one on Hulu. The Hulu has a whole like thing about college. Super, super interesting. 5 or 6 episodes, I think. All right. That's not what we're talking about. Stay on task, Jen. All right. I'll be right
Generally
back
speaking,
for
what
real.
kind of records
But I'll be
does
in chat.
Verizon
I can see
in
you.
relation?
Cyber information, cellular data, which could be telephone calls, text message, data sessions.
Okay. All right, and these have been previously shown to council. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 268. And I'm going to ask you if you recognize that, sir.
I do.
And what is that?
States Exhibit 268 is Alex Murdaugh's telephone number, 803-942-1227.
Okay, and have you reviewed the contents of that CD?
I have
And what is the contents of that on that CD?
subscriber information, cellular data information, text messages, anything related to billing purposes of Verizon Wireless.
Okay, and was that, were those records previously turned over to law enforcement?
In request to a search warrant, they were.
And you've reviewed those records, correct?
I have.
And after reviewing them, are those true and authentic copies of the records that are kept by Verizon?
They are.
And those are related to Alex Murdaugh's Verizon account, sir?
That is correct.
with a number ending in 1227?
That is correct.
All right. At this time, state moves to enter Exhibit 268 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
I'm going to approach and hand you State's Exhibit 269. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
And what is that?
States Exhibit 269, Paul, cell phone 803-842-7845.
And have you had an opportunity to review the contents of that CD?
I have
And what is the contents of that CD?
cellular information, subscriber information, in response to a search warrant.
Okay. And are the contents of that CD accurate, true and accurate copies of records kept by Verizon in normal course of business?
They are.
And at this time, State would move to enter Exhibit 269 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
And I'm going to hand you, this is Exhibit 265, so a little bit out of order. And do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
What is that?
States Exhibit 265, Maggie, cell phone 803-842-9041.
Have you had an opportunity to review the contents of that CD?
I have
What are the contents of the CD?
subscriber information, cellular data information in response to a search warrant.
All right, and that's in relation to the number associated with Paul, is that correct?
Maggie,
Oh, excuse me, yes, Maggie. And what's the last four digits of that number?
9041.
All right, and that's Exhibit 265, correct?
That is correct.
All right, and at this time, State will move to enter Exhibit 265 into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to approach, and I'm going to hand you what's labeled as State's Exhibit 262. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
And without reading any phone number, full phone number, what is that?
States Exhibit 262, Claude Rowe Records.
All right. And have you had an opportunity to review the contents of that CD?
I have
And what are the contents of that CD?
subscriber information, cellular data information in response to a search warrant.
All right. And those are related to the account associated with Claude Rowe, correct?
That is correct.
And there is a phone number associated. We're just not going to read it in the record. Is that correct?
That is correct.
At this time, and what number is that?
States Exhibit 262.
This time, State will move to enter Exhibit 262 into evidence.
No objection.
Admitted.
I'm going to approach and hand you State's Exhibit 263. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
And what is that?
States Exhibit 263, Marty Cook.
All right. And is there a phone number associated with that without reading it?
There is.
And that's a Verizon phone number, correct?
That is correct.
What are the contents of that CD?
Subscriber information, cellular data information in response to a search
And
warrant.
you've had an opportunity to review that, correct?
I have.
And those are a copy of the same records that were provided to law enforcement pursuant to a search warrant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And what number was that again?
States Exhibit 263.
All right. This time, State will need to enter Exhibit 263 into evidence.
I'm sorry, I couldn't. Whose number is that?
That is, State's Exhibit 263. What's the name on that account?
Marty Cook.
No objection.
It's admitted.
All right. I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 264. And do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
And what is that, sir?
States Exhibit 264, Rogan.
All right. And is there a phone number associated with that?
There is.
All right. And we're not going to read that into the record, but have you had an opportunity to review the contents of that CD?
I have.
And what are the contents of that CD?
Subscriber information, cellular data information in response to a search warrant.
All right. And the contents of that CD are accurate copy of the original records provided by Verizon to law enforcement pursuant to search warrant?
They are.
All right, and that's Exhibit 264, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, at this time, state will move to enter Exhibit 264 into evidence.
No objection.
Submit it.
Hand to you is marked as State's Exhibit 266. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
All right, and what is that?
State's Exhibit 266, Connor Cook records.
And is there a Verizon associate and account associated with those, with Connor Cook?
There is.
Have you had an opportunity to review the contents of that CD?
I have.
All right, and what is the contents of that CD?
Subscriber information, cellular data information in response to a search warrant.
All right, and that's a true and accurate copy of the records originally provided by Verizon to law enforcement pursuant to search warrant?
That is correct.
All right, and what's that number you have again?
State's Exhibit 266.
All right, this time, state will move to enter Exhibit 266 into evidence.
No objection.
Submit it.
And last one, this is State's Exhibit 267. I'm going to hand this to you. Do you recognize that, sir?
I do.
Do you recognize that?
I do.
All right, and what is that?
State's Exhibit 267, Buster cellular information.
And there's a number and a Verizon account associated with Buster's phone records.
That is correct.
We're not going to read that number to the record, but have you had an opportunity to review the contents of that CD?
I have.
All right, and what is the contents of that CD?
Subscriber information, cellular data information in response to a search warrant.
All right, and is that an accurate copy of the records originally provided by Verizon to law enforcement in response to a search warrant?
They are.
And what number do you have? What number is that again?
State's Exhibit 267.
All right, at this time, state will move to enter Exhibit 267 in evidence.
No objection.
Submit it.
All right, that's pretty much what I wanted you guys to hear from him as far as the direct goes, because he did say Connor Cook. And now I remember that there is a Connor associated. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Liz. That's what I thought. Connor Cook was one of the kids on the boat. And I remember them talking, and Connor's parents were basically saying that Alec wasn't telling Connor to lie. Like, he wasn't telling him to say specifically that he was driving the boat. But what he wanted Connor to say was he didn't remember who was driving the boat. And his dad, this was in Low Country, the one on HBO Max, and his dad was mad because he'd known Alec for a long time and considered him to be a friend. And he felt like he was trying to set his son up to take the fall for this boating accident. And he was pissed, which I would have been too. But that's the part that yes. He did say first it was Marty, and then the last, right before Buster, was Connor. Connor is the boyfriend of Mallory Beach. All right. I am going to skip ahead to the cross-examination, and then hold on. And I'm going to Google real quick.
A particular cell tower associated with that call. Is that correct?
That is correct. No, MO means the cellular
All
subscriber.
right, hold on. This is where I wanted y'all to say.
Apologize, the technology's about with me here.
0424 in Eastern time.
Oh,
State.
bruh.
That would,
I, column J, and column C, and this one,
but the voicemail is
correct?
that is
Record 904041. That call was not records.
See, this is why I don't be messing with it too much, because I always get wrong. I used to be a whiz at this.
All right. And we this call, all right, calls made from.
All right, I'm hitting up the Googles. Please hold. Yeah, let me just look it up.
He's looking for, I apologize, the technology's about with me here. So you work for Verizon,
That is correct.
and are you just deliver records to different people, or do you have a more, I say the word functional, but do you have a duties beyond just coming to court and delivering records?
Yes, sir. I work in executive relations and I respond to subpoenas, other court records, and other type of cases that are associated with the executive relations team.
And obviously you have to have some understanding of what you're delivering, what these things mean, right?
That is correct.
And as I understand it, I'm going to ask you in a minute what some things mean. So do you see, is this on? Can you see that?
Okay. Mallory Beach's boyfriend is Anthony Cook, but there is a Connor. So hang on. Yes, Anthony's cousin, Connor Cook. On February 23rd, 2019, Mallory and Anthony planned to spend Sunday night at a house party and oyster roast on Pocky Island with their friends, Anthony's cousin, Connor Cook, and Connor's girlfriend, Miley Altman. Yes, we do need Molson. I'm going to send out an SOS for him, but no, I found it. So we're right. They're both Cooks. They're cousins. Okay, here we go. Now, I want you to listen to what Mr. Harpoonian's doing here, because we're going to talk about this in a moment. Just listen to him for a sec.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you look down, anybody put that up there? No. Okay, never mind. So if you look down at 6, 7, and if you look at, I'm trying to find some consistency here, those NAs in lines I and J on several calls above that, you see those?
I do.
What does that mean?
That means that the call was routed to voicemail.
So these are voicemails to Alec.
This record is for 1227. So based off of this record,
Yes,
1227.
that's exactly what he was doing.
So like that call that
Dialed the 9041, but it was routed to voicemail.
okay, that's him dialing out. But what about if you go up to 6, 7 at 2208? Is that a call out or a call in?
Is that the line that you have highlighted?
No, I'm talking about go up to 6, 7, maybe go highlight. Okay.
Which one is
6, this one, either one of these right here.
Here?
Right, yeah, that's fine. Is that an outgoing or incoming call?
He's a lot, but
That was mobile forwarded, so it was forwarded to
we're not going
voicemail.
to hear much more of him. Just be
I get
patient.
it's
Bear
for
with me.
voicemail. Was Alec making it or somebody else was making it? Who initiated the call?
The 7845.
7845. So that was a call into Alec.
That is
And it went
correct.
to his voicemail.
That is correct.
And tell me where I look on this to see what's outgoing and what's incoming.
Row L or column L, MO, NT, and MF.
Okay. Okay, so MO means what?
Mobile originated.
He's the originating call.
That is correct.
Okay. What was the other one? MT. What does that mean?
Mobile terminated.
So he was getting an incoming call.
That is correct.
And MF,
Mobile forwarded.
what does that mean?
Routed to voicemail.
So there's two of them all of them mean voicemail, but
No,
what's the difference between MT, MO, and MF?
The direction of the call on Verizon's network.
Okay. Mobile terminated is he was making a call and it went to voicemail. MO is whoever called them initiated the call and went to voicemail.
No, MO means the cellular subscriber in response to this search warrant made a phone call out.
MO. So that would be Alex calling somebody went to voicemail.
Correct.
MT is somebody called him and it went to voicemail.
No.
Mobile terminated means that our subscriber in response to the search warrant is the one that the call placed to and could have answered.
And so one of them's coming in, goes to voicemail. Another one's going out, goes to voicemail. And MF is what?
No, sir. MO means mobile originated, a phone call transpired over our network. So we could have answered the phone call. It would show up as MO.
We being who? Yeah, on this, if Alec had answered the phone call, it would have,
It would be mobile terminated because our subscriber answered the phone call.
oh, okay. So MO, he answers it.
No.
Am I losing are you losing me or am I losing you?
MO is mobile originated. So that means subscriber 1227 dialed out on Verizon's network.
Okay. And it was answered.
It could have been answered, yes. I mean, it was a call that transpired and it would create a cellular connection, which would connect to a cell tower.
Okay. And it wasn't answered by voicemail.
Which record?
The MO.
MO is
Oh,
mobile
for fuck's sake.
originated. Which
I got
means-
that. I got that part. I just want to know
You
how
don't have
you
it.
differentiate between these calls as one's going out, one's coming in, one's going to voicemail, either way.
Oh, my
MF
Jesus.
is mobile forwarding. So
Right.
that call would have went to voicemail.
Whether he was getting it or giving it. Whether he
Well,
was
if
making-
someone were calling him
Right.
and he didn't answer, then it would be forwarded to voicemail.
That's MF.
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. I
You don't-
finally get it.
All right.
Took me a while. But again, I'm not a technological expert here. So, as you look at his calls,
All right. That's all I can take of this particular brand of baloney, because let me say what he's doing here. Okay. Make no mistake. Dick knows exactly what he's looking at, knows exactly what those codes mean, and knows exactly, he understands it. This is not his first day in court. This is not his first go around with some cell phone data, yada, yada, yada. His point is, he is trying to relate to the jury. So his point is, if it is confusing for him, and he's college educated, hell, he's a lawyer, he has a Juris Doctorate, he passed the bar, then it's confusing for the jury as well. He is trying to he's poking holes in the timeline and in the veracity and reliability of these cell phone records. Hopefully, the jury does not fall for it, does not, because that's what he's doing, jurors. I know you can't hear me, but that is exactly what he's doing, making it seem like they're in an Excel sheet. The codes are right there. You can understand it. It's not that difficult. But he is, okay. This is what money buys. Slick lawyers. He's slick. He's slick. All right. Let's go forward. Because let's see. I think he's about to be off the stand now. Yeah, here we go.
All right, next witness.
State call Paul Murdaugh.
Mm-hmm. I would hope, Corky, that the prosecution put Some youth on there, you know, someone in, you know, in their 25 to 30 range. Because the 25 to 30 range are people
Paul
that have
David
grown up with
McManigal,
this kind of technology.
McManigal.
He doesn't have anything real super interesting
Good morning,
to
Mr.
say.
McManigal.
It's not him that we want to hear
Good afternoon.
from.
Excuse me.
I'm trying to find this part because there is a specific part.
Or if you think of it as a bank vault, it is the before first unlock at which have to brute force the device is like the
Oh, yes, this part.
ANHOUTEN.
Mr. Van Allen, where are you employed, sir?
United States Secret Service.
All right. And how long are you employed there?
We just want to hear part of
This,
his.
April will be 3 years.
All right. And are you currently a law enforcement agent?
I am not.
Okay. And you're a civilian employee of Secret Service?
I am.
All right. But you do have a background in law enforcement, correct?
Yes, I retired after 21 years with the Columbia Police Department as an investigator. For the last 10 years, I was assigned as a digital forensic examiner with the U.S. Secret Service.
Perfect. Smart guy.
And in this case, you were provided a phone by, I believe, Britt Dove. Is that correct?
Lieutenant Dove, correct.
When I was watching this earlier today, I was outside and I didn't have the brightness on my phone turned up enough. So that pin that he has on his lapel there, I thought it was something on my phone. Y'all, I tried to dust it off and I even blew on my phone like 3 times before I figured it out. Yeah, it was a real moment for your girl here. Not a proud
This is
one,
the
but
SLED
a
Law
moment.
Enforcement, or Stock County Law Enforcement Division chain of custody that was submitted to me by Lieutenant Dove.
All right. And do you recognize your signature on that form?
I did sign this one.
What day did you sign that form? 271 is evidence.
No objection, Your Honor.
Admit it.
Tell him what you did
And
and
I'll
how.
hand you States Exhibit 272.
Bless
Let me see if
it.
you recognize
Let's
No.
got a sticker on the phone.
What is it? Can you read that sticker, please?
don't care.
iPhone, the model number with the SIM
I don't care.
0204.
That's unimportant. That's not what we're trying to hear.
So at this time, State moves Exhibit 272. Phone, sir?
March 21st.
Excuse me, yes, 21st. All right. And why did he bring it to you?
It's my understanding that the phone was locked and SLED requested assistance of the Secret Service.
This is
to
the
unlock
part. Here we go.
And at Secret Service, at that time, did you have tools available that could potentially unlock that phone?
Yes,
And did SLED have those tools, at least on that date?
at that time they did
Also,
not.
I like the term they use.
And what tool did you use to attempt to unlock that phone?
For this, for my unlock attempt, I used a tool called Celebrite Premium.
Okay. And sell by premium is a way to potentially break into.
I learned quite a bit today
That
from,
is the
from
only
about
use of that
this.
And just generally
Well,
speaking.
bless it, Corky. I can't
how
tell
does
you how
that
many
sell by
times I've done
premium
that.
Attempt to unlock a locked phone.
It
Mo
uses
was
its
looking for her
proprietary
phone the other
software
day and it was
to
in her
attempt to brute
hand.
force the device.
Okay, what does brute force mean?
Remember that,
Brute
Momo?
force is if we don't have the code, we will attack the device,
I like the brute force.
attack the data on the device to try to brute force the passcode.
Yes.
Code for it to unlock the device.
Mm-hmm. That sounds,
And
the fact that it's with the phone, it just makes it,
why does it
it's
need to
just
be
funny to
unlocked for
me.
you to access the data? What underlying condition exists that prevents you from seeing the data?
Well, for Apple iPhone devices, there are 2 types of locks. There are before first unlock and after first unlock. Before first unlock is the phone is either powered down, it's been turned off and rebooted, or a code has been entered in too many times incorrectly. If you were to, an analogy for it, if you think of it as a bank vault, it is the before first unlock at which have to brute force the device is like the big steel door.
I didn't understand that analogy.
And that underlying data is encrypted, correct? Otherwise,
Yes.
I've been walking
you
around
would not be able to read it.
the last few
correct?
days.
I have to unlock the device to get to the data.
I've had my cup in my hand while
And
I've
so
been looking
Cellphone
for
Premium,
it.
you
So
said attempted to do a brute force unlock, correct?
Yes,
And ultimately, was that attempt successful?
it was successful because I generated a predefined dictionary to attempt first
This is what's funny
prior
to me.
to the tool
Interesting.
using its own dictionary.
Okay. And what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Well, humans are creatures of habit. They like to use numbers that are relevant to them. Most people will use their date of birth, an anniversary, a child's birth, the death of a parent as the access code. So what we do generally is we get as many social engineered codes or dates that are relevant to the particular phone that we will attempt first. Once that attempt is no longer viable, the tool will use its own dictionary to start hardcore brute
I've
force
learned
process.
a lot.
And absent kind of getting lucky with a preceded number, if the sub premium has to brute force its way through and unlock a phone, how long would that take?
So for a 4-digit phone, if you had a 4-digit numeric PIN code, we're limited to an attempt of 146, maybe 145 attempts per day. So a 4-digit code has a maximum possible numeric value of 10,000 attempts. So at 146 attempts a day, it will roughly take a little over 2 months to 68 days to unlock that phone.
Harpoonian also
Adding
in it?
2 extra numbers to a 6-digit, going from a 4-digit to a 6-digit, there are approximately 1 million possibilities now. At 146 attempts per day, it could take upwards 19 years.
All right.
Literally at that moment, everybody in the audience was like, we're about to have a 6-digit code on our phones. I'm pretty sure that also Harpoonian was in the documentary. This guy back here, yes, I recognize him. But I remember Harpoonian when they were trying to get into court for something or other at one point in the Low Country documentary. He's like, I'm trying to get in the fucking door, which made me laugh. I see him. All right. So there you go. 19 years, everybody. Change your passwords to 6 digits, or hell, go for really confound them and use 8.
Now, you said that you can only do 146 attempts a day. Is that correct?
Based on technology at the time and current technology is progressing, so it is getting faster.
Vincent's.
Okay.
Speaking
Why
of,
is the software limited to just 146 attempts a day?
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
The time frame that somebody can attempt to brute force a device.
that's never going to get old for me. I just want you guys to know
that.
that.
15 minutes.
All right. But ultimately, you said you seeded several numbers into Cellbright Premium to give it some potential guesses first before just start going through all the other numbers, correct?
Yes. Once I start the brute force process, there is an option for me to enter my own dictionary or numbers that are relevant.
Right,
I
and
think
you-
is relevant to.
Okay.
Number associated with.
I believe the number was associated with the date of birth of Paul Murdaugh.
Now,
All right. And so once you successfully unlock.
Now, if you will recall, Mr. Alec Murdaugh sitting in the front seat of the police vehicle, giving his statement on January 7th into the 8th. What did Mr. Murdaugh say with respect to getting into Paul's phone? He had no idea. Like, Paul had that thing locked down better than the CIA. This kid used his birthday, which I find interesting because, first of all, that would have been a number I would have tried immediately as a parent, right? Which is why my kids think they're clever, and their passcodes are numbers, but they spell out a word. It's very annoying. It's all right. Anywho, I digress. But if you'll remember, there's been a few more than once when Alec was asked to give Paul's birth date, and one time he stumbled through it and then he got it. Then another time he gave Buster's date of birth, then Paul's. So I find it ironic is not the right word, but humorous that he was I know he was trying to get into that phone. There is no and he had to say something. He had to come up with a story because he knew that they were going to check that phone for prints, and he knew his would be on there. And it was his birthday. Bless it, he acted like he was very secretive, and the CIA themselves couldn't crack that number, but they did. And what was it? Oh, that's right, his birth date. All right, is this the genius guy? I can't remember now. Hold on, let me play this.
You don't draw it. I mean, it's a sort of investigative.
Oh no, this is extra.
Tool.
Region, Lake Murray, Lake Marion.
All right. Now this gentleman is the gentleman that actually extracted the data. Extremely smart. He has every credential that you'd ever want of anybody who was extracting your data and being able to read it and all the things, right? Extremely, extremely smart. Now, right before this gentleman gets on the stand, the defense, now brace yourselves, y'all, because I know this is going to come as a shock. The defense had an objection. And let me tell you what their objection was. Their objection was essentially they thought that the state ought to be required to put everybody who touched that phone before it got to this gentleman here on the witness stand to prove chain of custody. Even though they did put the majority of the people on the stand who who were involved in the chain of custody of the phones. Thankfully, the judge was like, okay, he didn't say this, but basically his ruling was like, that's kind of ridiculous. We've established chain of custody through multiple witnesses, and on top of it, the actual chain of custody. No, we're not going to put the defense. This is I know it's their job, but man, they're doing a fantastic job. I mean, I have to say, bless it, Harpoonian is in some respects kind of running that courtroom. I don't know if y'all have noticed. I have noticed he'd be doing a lot of things, moving things around. Like the state will be putting on questioning a witness and whatnot. And Harpoonian is, moving things. He's getting up out of his seat and doing things and whatnot. But it's all a tactic. And this is what a defense is intended to do. This is why you have a defense attorney. But I'm going to be real blunt and take it how you will. To be quite frank with you, these seem like bullshit diversionary tactics because they don't have some real good reasonable doubt. Like this seems like low hanging fruit. Like these are like tactics of last resort, because they don't have a good reasonable doubt. Otherwise, I don't understand why they're this is a complete waste of the court's time. Some of this stuff, putting every single witness that, person on that chain of custody document up on the stand to testify what their role in the chain of custody was. I mean, come on. Some of the people that are in the chain of custody, all they did was transport the dadgum phone from one place to another. They didn't have anything to do with it. They didn't touch it as far as once it was sealed. Then now I will give this to Harpoonian. This one was funny. He did ask the crime scene tech that she was in charge she was called out to the scene to retrieve, I believe it was Maggie or Paul's phone. I can't remember it anymore because that's not even and I guarantee the jury's not going to remember either. And it was put in a paper bag, a brown paper bag. And Harpoonian's like, well, what about, what is the word? What is that dadgum bag that it starts with an F? I can't think of it now, but some special bag that you can put electronics in that keeps it from being remotely accessed so that potentially somebody who has remote access could, delete all the data and whatnot off the phone. Fairway. There it is. Fairway. Faraday. I was going to remember it because Lost. Daniel Faraday. Anyway, that's neither here nor there either. But he kept asking about this dadgum Faraday bag. And he said, so what you're telling me is that you treated this phone like you would a can of pork and beans, which I thought was funny. I mean, it was clever. Whatnot. It did make me laugh, and that's the part everybody's going to remember. So, anywho, all right. Now, let's see. Where are we at?
Okay. And is that law enforcement possession?
You are,
Yes, it is.
yes,
Are you a
this
class one officer?
gentleman is very smart.
Okay. And just real quick, if we look down at the end of
Hold on.
Served as a patrol officer and a school resource officer with
Oh,
them.
wait. No,
Also
this is the
served-
one.
Was with
My
the
bad.
Richland County Sheriff's Department. Voicemails, photos,
Show you, this is in evidence. It states Exhibit 204. And I'm going to ask you if you recognize that, sir.
Also, I would like to say for the record that I remember the pork and beans comment, but then all day long.
yes, sir, I do.
For the rest of the day.
All right. And what is that item?
That
This is an
pork
iPhone
and beans
that
song
we
from
received
Weezer was in my head.
Case 7021-0204. It was item 1 that went after being processed belonged to Maggie Murdaugh.
Okay. And you received that phone. Do you recall when you received that phone?
I would have to check my notes on the actual date. It was in June, I believe it was June of 20.
Okay.
Let's get to the meat
When I
and
received the
potatoes.
phone, I returned to our unit the item as it comes in. If it's got a cracked screen to it, we'll photograph that. If it doesn't have it, we'll photograph that. Once the item then is photographed, we'll go through the IMEI number. We'll call.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 277. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, sir. This is a photo I took when I examined.
This time, state moved to introduce Exhibit 277 to evidence.
Admitted.
I'm not going to show this. Are we up on the other one?
How come? I thought we were going to be allowed to see this stuff. How come we're not allowed to see this
Okay.
stuff?
What is this picture of?
Who
What do you
knows?
see on this picture?
This is a picture of her settings on her.
Yeah.
It shows that the phone has been placed in airplane mode. Okay.
So this is a picture you took, correct?
Right,
It was in
pictures,
airplane
pictures,
mode,
pictures.
correct?
We can't see.
Yes, sir.
It's in airplane mode, correct?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you States Exhibit 276. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Back
I
in my
do.
head again.
And is that a picture you took?
Yes.
Introduce States Exhibit 276 and then.
no objection.
And real briefly, what is?
Oh,
There
for
should be number
Pete's
1
sake.
there that has been received a notification to that app.
All right, we know
Turn
how
on.
apps work. Come on.
Because if you go through and set your app,
In that courtroom in South Carolina.
because it's both call logs.
All right. And so there's 2 databases for call logs on Maggie's phone? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And just briefly, what does that mean? There's 2 different logs.
There's several different SQLite databases in a phone.
Okay, so Max, her phone was in airplane mode because it is SLED's protocol that a phone that is on, when it is taken into evidence, that it is put in airplane mode and the SIM card removed. Because if you've got an iPhone, and he explained this very well, I don't have an iPhone, so I don't, whatever, but there are ways, and I think even if you have an Android, you can do it too, but there are ways to access your phone remotely if you have all of the details that you would need, right? And you put it in airplane, they put it in airplane mode so that nobody can get to it remotely and start erasing data and stuff. That's why they do it, to protect it. Yes. So it works as the same way a Faraday bag does, Harpoonian, without a Faraday bag.
And it's going to contain the information in different places. One may be recent calls. One may be calls that are considered past the recent step that's set in the database, so that it's going to be in the call logs, but it's not going to be in the recent. Sometimes you'll see them in both databases, recent and the call logs.
Okay. All right. And so that, what time is that call that you see on the entry there, lines 13 and line 14?
At line 13, it's on 6/7/2021 at 7:50, 19 seconds PM -4 UTC.
Okay. So that's 7:50 p.m. Eastern time, correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
And
I forgot something that I wanted to say real quick. The other question that I have for the prosecution is the search warrants with respect to the phones. So they don't cover like a long time prior to the crime. And I don't understand that, because one of the theories that's floated now, I don't actually know if this is if this is the prosecution's theory, but it has been speculated, remember, that Maggie spoke to a divorce attorney. And if that were the case, right, wouldn't you want to go back maybe a month prior to see if Maggie had contacted an actual divorce attorney, or if she had not only contacted a divorce attorney, but had, a meeting scheduled on the calendar in her iPhone or her, I don't know if she was wearing an Apple Watch or whatever, but you see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't understand why they only got, and maybe they got more and we just haven't heard about it yet, but I don't understand why they did that, why they didn't go back further. That's what I remember that too. And so does Yep. I remember Pepperidge Farm, and I remember remembering phone numbers. I still remember the phone number I had when I was living at home with my parents. That's the part I didn't understand. Like, I felt like that would be something that, well, I mean, technically, the only thing that gets you out of attorney-client privilege is death. So yes, a divorce attorney could and should maybe have shared that, right? But you would, but you would have to prove that Alec knew about it, okay? And the way to do that would not be through the attorney. It would be through her phone. And the reason it would be through her phone is because Alec knew the passcode to her phone. He gave it to investigators. So he knew how to get into her phone. And so, yes, it would be great to have an attorney to take the stand and back up that she did, in fact, speak with a divorce attorney, but that means nothing if you can't connect Alec to knowing about it. And the only way, I think, to connect Alec up to it would be through her phone for sure, because he's the one that gave the passcode. So, and I don't think Maggie was going for a divorce, and I'll tell you guys why. Because Paul's trial, the beginnings of his criminal trial was coming up, and it was 3 days. He was unalived 3 days before before the hearing, and this wasn't. I think this was going to be like the final status update before the hearing began. But bottom line is, Maggie would be very keenly aware of public perception. And there's no way that she would have sought a divorce while her son, was on trial. First of all, it would be incredibly distracting to her son, number one. And number two, the public perception would be very, very negative. And so I just don't think that she would do that. That's because, Lesko, I don't think that she was talking to a divorce attorney. I don't think Maggie, I'm not saying that she didn't think about getting a divorce. I'm not saying that she didn't even want a divorce. What I'm saying is, I don't think she was looking to get divorced right then. I think she would maybe have done it after the trial, after Paul's case, maybe. But she's no dummy. She knew she wasn't going to get a fair shake in that town, especially with that family being attorneys. What other attorneys are going to want to go up against that family? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't.
And in the next column, we see a number, and it says 246. What does that mean?
That is the duration of the call.
Okay.
And I've not
at
heard
7:50
them.
p.m., Maggie placed a call to Barbara. Is that correct? That lasted 2 minutes and 46 seconds.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I've learned a lot. I have, from the beginning, my theory has always been that this was about Paul and not about Maggie.
And we see a slight time difference between line 13 and line 14, about 4 seconds. And that's just as simply the different way the different logs record the data.
Yes, sir, it's because they're going into
Yep,
different
Diane.
databases, so there is a lag in that.
But your
Let's
test
just
Call
get to the
the
text.
19 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, this is tedious. All right. I think this is what we're going to do. All right. I've been on for 2 hours, and I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing my voice, as I'm tired of hearing my own voice. I'm sure Maggie's friend will testify. But I don't know. I don't know how both of them got outside. Because I think that boat accident, it's not his criminal trial. It was the civil trial. That civil trial was going to open up all of the books. Like, I think that, so you know how if somebody is tried criminally and they get acquitted, how the family can bring about a wrongful death lawsuit, and the preponderance of evidence and all, it's all different in a civil trial, right? And so there would they be more likely to be successful in a civil suit if the criminal suit, the person was found guilty? Sure, but it's not necessary. And so I think that what was going to end up happening is it was all going to come out. All of the shisty ways that he, and the stuff with Gloria Satterfield, and the way that her sons got nothing, all of that was going to come out. It was all going to come out. And I think that he wanted to delay it in order to try to cover it up. That's what I think it was. I really think that, because he's not, I mean, and then I think when he hired cousin Eddie, allegedly, because I don't know if that's been what the deal is with that. And I know the Murdaughs are litigious. So allegedly, when he allegedly hired cousin Eddie to do what he did, I think it was because he had tried to cover it up, to buy, the murders were to buy time. And I think what he was doing was trying to cover his tracks, and he realized he couldn't cover his tracks. And so this was his way out. And he was worried that if he had taken his own life, his life insurance wouldn't pay, because there are some life insurances that do have a self-harm clause in them. So that's where Cousin Eddie came into the picture. And that's what I think really happened. I really think that that is what yeah. What, let me see. Hold on. What did you hear? Let me scroll up. She did. Apparently, Dragonfly, she did send a text, and she was, I don't know another word to use, skeeved out that he had called her out there. She said she felt that something was off. It didn't feel right. And it was in Low Country, and it was in several news articles, and it was in the one for ID, Dynasty of Murder, I think is where I get. Oh, sorry, you guys. Yeah, suspicious. She was suspicious. She was the opposite of that song. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. She was suspicious. And so yeah. But the thing is we'll never know for sure, because the text that she sent to her friend wasn't like incredibly, she didn't give Miss America answers like Jen Lou over here. So I think we'll never know for sure, but what she suspected. Something was clearly off. She said that, right? Or wrote that in a text, but I'm curious as to what it was that she was suspicious about. Like, was she afraid of Alec for herself? Was she afraid of Alec for her son? Or was she afraid of Alec for both of them? I don't know. See, and this is what's also interesting about that. Why would she be suspicious? Because Alec, in his interviews with police, has said, oh, Magley was the one that fooled the dog. She'd go out there all the time, especially if she'd been gone for a while. She'd go out there and she'd let him out, especially a couple of them. They were her friends, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure her friend kept that. But I just feel like my gut tells me, I'm sorry, my gut tells me that when Alec told law enforcement that this goes back to the boating accident, I do, that actually has a ring of truth to it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not lying. This was about the boat accident, but it was, and it was actually in a way an act of revenge, but not on the part of anybody that was a party to that boat accident lawsuit, or a family member of a party that was part of that boat accident. I think he told the truth. I think it was revenge, and I think it was due to the boating accident, but it was all on his part. No, nobody else's. Nobody. What was done to Alec, or to Paul, excuse me, was over, KILL. The first shot was enough. It was lethal. There was no need for the second one. But yet the second one was taken. With Maggie, same thing. There was no need for the shots that were fired after she was already down when the person was standing over her. That was unnecessary. This was personal. And yeah, it was personal. It was personal. Because this is what I think. I think that it's very possible. I think it's possible for Alec to have committed both of the murders alone. Because his timeline, remember, we're basing it on this timeline that we don't actually know a whole lot about other than a few details, right? It can't be the phone, talking on the phone can be verified, but we don't know anything about cell phone, about where the cell phone, what tower it was pinging off of at these times or anything like that. We don't have his alibi, one of his alibi witnesses for somebody that actually saw him, his mother. There's no way they were going to put her on the stand. No way. She had, she's can't testify. So who actually saw him? And who can testify that he was there when he said he was? That isn't in his pocket. If it's the caretaker, that's baloney too, because she's paid. So that, I mean, not that a person would lie, but if I'm sitting on a jury and I know the history of this family and their power and their control and the pull that they have over the community, I'm going to be sus of the caretaker. I'm sorry. I might not take her testimony as very credible because no, he was not. Diane, he was not. But the bottom line is, yes, they did, Karen, have life insurance. The bottom line is, I think that I will say this. If the prosecutor has what they say they have, which is a video that came from Paul Murdaugh's phone moments before he was unalived, and Alec Murdaugh's voice is on that phone, it blows everything, all his timeline completely out of the water. He should never have been there. According to him, at that point, he would have been he would have been gone away from the house. And, or at the very least, I'm to go back and listen to his whole timeline. But bottom line is, he shouldn't have been out there, according to his own statements. So if they have it, it's going to be problematic for the defense. And something tells me that they have and not only do they have that, they also are going to put people on the stand who will testify that that is Alec's voice. And if that's what they have, that's some pretty powerful, hard to overcome evidence. And something tells me that there is a ring of truth to that. Otherwise, the defense wouldn't be trying these lowbrow tactics that they're trying. It's right. He said he never went to the kennels until after they were unalived. Correct. And I have long suspected that the water that everybody is that all the first responders and law enforcement are talking about is Alec rinsing himself off. He's not trying to alter the crime scene. He's trying to alter himself as to not be part of the crime scene. And I firmly believe that that is what that water is. I think he then went into the house, and that is when he changed. I think if Alec had help, it was in the disposal of evidence, not the actual unalivings. But even if he did, which sometimes I go back and forth, that there could, I mean, now you have to at least entertain the possibility that it's potential. There could be two shooters. You have to, but it changes nothing because he still pulled the trigger on one of them. So those are my thoughts. because I think, Crystal, I think he thought that his defense attorneys could attack the way that the crime scene was handled from the very beginning. I think he thought that they could attack and be successful at it, poke holes in chain of custody, which the irony of all of that, the very thing that the defense is so keen on poking holes in and pointing out the flaws in the investigation are the exact same flaws and wait, let me put it, how do I put it? It's the exact same way that the investigation into Stephen Smith's death was flawed, and the exact same way in which the investigation into Mallory Beach's death and the boating accident as a whole was investigated. Multiple agencies on the scene at one time, you know, people get like, if it were me or you and we were in a boating accident and we reeked of alcohol, the first thing they would do after they made sure we were okay is a blood alcohol test, a field sobriety test. That would have happened, and it didn't. And it didn't even happen when he arrived at the hospital until, I don't know, like a couple of hours later. By that time, I mean, he still was well over the limit. I mean, he's still over the limit, but it wasn't as high as it would have been if they'd done it on scene. And that's the truth. But I just find the irony in the way that the defense is attacking the law enforcement and the way that the crime scene was processed and who handled the evidence and who had it when, and why didn't they use a Faraday bag, and why are they standing in the feed room, and blah, all the things that we've seen so far is the exact same issues that arose in the Stephen Smith and the boating accident. So Vincent, where can I see those, babe? Now I know that Law and Crime re-uploaded, which I guess they're getting it through, I don't know how they're getting it. I guess through Freedom of Information. I'm not sure. But we're not, like, normally when we watch a trial, we would never be able to see the really bad crime scene photos. But why wouldn't we be allowed to see the walkthrough that they did of the house and all of that? I don't understand why we can't see that, and how Long Crime has it, but we can't see it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not sure. Let's go. B. I'm not sure. I don't know. Because I have to tell the truth here. I listen to the trial more than on Law and Crime or on that channel, Chanley Painter. Or is that Painter or Pointer? Painter. On that channel or on Law and Crime? Because I know that Law and Crime did upload the full. Maybe we should watch that tomorrow. The full, the video. Hazel, I have to look into that because that was something that was sort of like up in the air as to what happened to him. Like I saw where, he was arraigned and arrested and all of that stuff, but then there was like no final outcome. So I don't know. So let me look into that too. But when I listen to the trial, I'm, usually doing stuff around the house or like working on the Stephen Smith video. I'm still working on it, you guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. Thank you, Vincent. Okay, I'll go look on law. I know where the hunting one is. I just have to look for the. I'm so sorry, y'all. Oh, excuse me, that's so rude. Anyway. Oh, thank you, Vincent. So if you go to Law and Crime Dragonfly, they uploaded by itself the footage today, or not today, I guess it was yesterday, the footage of the house of the I can't even think where the crime happened, the lodge, the hunting lodge, where the officer is walking through. So that's what they uploaded. So sometimes I'm just I'm listening, but I'm not all the time watching. Plus they're not even showing it. Like there are pictures that I know dang right well are acceptable to show, that they do not violate any agreement about what will and will not be shown. And it's weird. I don't know. But anyway, thanks you guys for being here. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for the support, for the thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Good night, Liz. Have a great one. I think I'm going to get off of here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Yes, because this gentleman is still going to be on the stand. He's only gotten to Maggie's phone, and I have a feeling tomorrow is the day to watch, because I have a feeling that if they're talking to the gentleman that used Cellbrite, and then whatever the other Cellbrite he used, and to extract the data from those phones, then I would imagine they're going the both the videos are going to be played, the Snapchat and the one from the phone. So tomorrow is the day to watch. So we will be here tomorrow night to talk all about it. And if it doesn't get played tomorrow, we can complain about it. Either way, I'll be here. All right, you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.